All right. Hi, this is Hamada. Welcome to Right Track Admissions. I wanted to, first of all, apologize for being a little bit late. We had some major technical issues, but we are on. We're using a new platform, and hopefully it will give you everything you need so we can really get through a very, very important part of what we want to cover today, which is the changes to the HKS applications from last year to this year. So let's get into it. Sorry, I got a plant right in the middle of the screen. All right, here we go. Um, by way of background, why I'm qualified to give you the talk today. I was an HKS graduate in 2016, 2017. Since then, I've been working with a lot of applicants, actually even before, but since then, I've been working with quite a few applicants on the admissions process, specifically to HKS, specifically for the different master's programs, whether it's an MPP, MPA, MPA2. And MPA ID. Not only that, but I was a fellow and I received a full scholarship to the Kennedy School. And I was on the selection committee to the scholarship I was part of at the Center for Public Leadership. And I am still on the Alumni Council for the Center for Public Leadership. So very much involved in the school and kind of what's been happening and so forth. So without further ado, let me also quickly say that I wrote the only guide that exists on the Kennedy School admissions process. It's a very, very in-depth guide to the whole admissions process there at the Kennedy School. Everything from, is the Kennedy School the right school for you? Is public policy the right degree for you? All the way through to what are the different parts of the applications in terms of the different essays, how to break it down, how to think about it, and then to the submissions process, the scholarship process, and so forth. So really everything you need to know just for this one school, which is kind of wild because most people do books that cover a lot of different areas, but we really want to focus it on the Kennedy School, again, given my experience with the school. And now we're about to launch a second edition, which will include some of the changes that we're going to talk about today. All right, so the first thing I want to quickly talk about, because I know we're limited on time, is the new fellowships. So there is a fellowship, military and veteran fellowship, which took over from the Black, I think it was called the Black Fellowships, Black Fellowship, which is from the Black family. And again, it's focused on military and veterans. So there is that. So that's great that it did come back, because the Kennedy School, I can't give you a percentage, but I'd say there is definitely a sizable group of students who are veterans and or even people who are in the military that pursue their education at the Kennedy School. All right. There's also a new fellowship that was just launched like a month or so ago, which is awesome. And I've been recommending it to a lot of people, which is called the American Service Fellowship. I think the idea, don't quote me on this, this is not Harvard telling you this, this is me and kind of my thought process, is that there's a lot of people who left government, and the Kennedy School wants to help support those people to be able to advance their career in the field of government and so forth. So what you'll see there is U.S. military veterans. So this is another opportunity for veterans, active duty military as well. Federal, state, tribal, local public employees, including public school teachers, firefighters, and police officers. So again, trying to capture those people that may have been made redundant, especially on the federal level and maybe even on the state level, so that they could have the opportunity to attend a program until they kind of land on their feet, hopefully in a year or two. And then alumni of national service programs. In fact, I was recommending this to one of our clients who is an AmeriCorps graduate and participant. So again, they qualify as well. A couple of quick things to note. 50 people, that's a pretty big scholarship. It is only, though, for the mid-career masters, the masters that I did. So it's only open to those folks, okay? And it's a full scholarship. So it's almost like $60,000, $70,000 scholarship, which is phenomenal. But it's only for mid-career. So if you're an MPP or an MPA2 or a MPID, you will not qualify for this. It has to be a mid-career, so it's a one-year scholarship. All right. Couple of updates to the standardized testing policy. That people can waive out of the GRE and GMAT under certain circumstances. I've kind of laid it out for you there. Definitely take a look at the school's website so you can get the most up-to-date information for you, so that you can have a better understanding of what updates have happened. But they have expanded the waiver for the GRE and the GMAT. Not to say that you can waive out of it completely, but there are people that will qualify for that waiver. All right. So that is one of the updates. The second update is this, kind of wild. But what I want to do is not only update you, but I want to kind of help you think through this essay. So let's read it together. The Harvard Kennedy School believes that academic excellence and personal growth rely on engaging with varied perspectives, embracing our unique differences, and relishing healthy debate. Please share how you would contribute to the vibrant and they deleted and diverse learning environment at HKS. Why did they delete diverse? I don't know. To be honest, I would imagine it's because it's almost like a trigger word for the current administration. Maybe it's all the things that are happening on the Kennedy School in general, and obviously Harvard even more generally. So they deleted the word diverse. Guys, this is a diversity statement, all intents and purposes, regardless if they delete the word or not. They're still talking about varied perspectives, embracing unique differences, relishing healthy debates, right? It's still an essay. It's still an essay on diversity. So do not shy from the diversity, even if they deleted the word and diverse, which is so funny. Is I'm like, what difference is that going to make when anybody who's half sensible can read through this and figure it out? Now, guys, it's 250 words, right? So what we want to do here, and you kind of see kind of my talking point here, is the core message has shifted from simply describing one's background to demonstrating active contribution to the HKS community and connecting experiences to future-oriented vision of engagement and learning. So simply saying I'm African American, simply saying I'm Muslim, simply saying I'm of Jewish origin, right? That's not going to suffice. You know, simply saying I'm part of the LGBT community. I have had this medical trial and tribulation. I want to know, how has that informed how you have and how you can contribute to varied perspectives, embracing unique differences, and relishing healthy debate. Underscoring that, what is that asking us for? What is that telling us? It's essentially saying, am I open-minded? Am I willing to engage with other people? Am I compassionate? Am I empathetic? Right? And how have I demonstrated that? Right? Not just don't tell me. And don't tell me that you think you're diverse. Tell me how you've exhibited that diversity. All right. And so we can even, it's 250 words. We don't have a lot of space, but I kind of give you a little bit of an outline of how this looks. So in here, you would say, you kind of grab their attention, you pull them into an experience, you give them a little bit of background to who you are, the diversity, and then career here, I want you to also think about the experience, the career, the context. Career as in this way, think about it more than just professional career. Think about career in terms of an experience, academic career, professional career in this way. Kind of think about volunteer career, or think about it in terms of the context of the diverse experience that you have. Make it into something that is tangible, not just, again, speaking in platitudes at a high level, but give them something tangible. Okay? And then tell them kind of what you learned from that. All right? But this is kind of important from that perspective, is I want you to think about it in terms of a way of grabbing their attention, giving it some background information about who you are, talk about the context of the experience, and then the learning lesson that you gained from it. Okay? That's very, very important. And let me know if you have any questions, guys. I see some comments, so yeah. Let me know if there are any questions that you guys have on that. Guys, please feel free to ask questions. Anna has one, says, I would still be able to use my heritage and how that made me the person I am today and how I can contribute to the community. Yeah, that's 100% right. Actually, had two back-to-back questions. I'll get to the other one. But that's exactly right, Anna. The idea here is that your heritage, don't shy from it. Some people have asked me, hey, I'm a little bit scared to talk about things that may be inflammatory, like the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, or being Muslim, or being conservative in the political terrain, right, on the political spectrum. And I don't want you to shy from that, but I don't want the topic to be divisive either. You do want to use kind of your best intentions by actually imbuing it in an experience. So remember, grab their attention, give them a little bit of a background about you, talk about the experience, give it context, and then what you learned from it, right? Super important. Think about it in that format. That's going to help you think through this essay. Again, 250 words. You're not going to have a lot of space, but it's such a fundamentally important essay. And even if they change and drop the word "and diverse," it's still about diversity, which is super, super important. So I don't want you to shy from your heritage, especially if that tells a story and then you have an experience from it. What's a good example of that? Let's say hypothetically you are someone that went to church all the time. So you can say my diversity is my religious beliefs. It's something that's very fundamentally important to my family, and to myself, and to my cultural heritage. Simply saying that is not enough. Then saying I volunteered at church, I mentor young students, I try to help provide people with direction. To me, that's still not enough, because yeah, that keeps you open-minded and compassionate about your only community. How have you exhibited this? Because what's it asking for? Varied perspectives. If you're not Christian, are you going to be tolerant to those varied perspectives? So what I like to say is, have you done any interfaith dialogue? Have you reached out to other religious and other people with groups, maybe people who are agnostic or atheist? And what have you done to kind of learn from them and them learning from you? So you see the massive difference. It's not just about I only target my community, but is how has you targeting your community and learning to be empathetic helped you then be able to target and work with other communities that may not share the same opinions that you have or beliefs that you have. All right. The second essay of all the essays that we found that is different is this essay. The MPP curriculum is designed to broaden a student's perspective, and sharpen skills necessary for successful career in public service through a rigorous set of courses that draw on the social sciences but are adapted for action. Please describe how the MPP curriculum at HKS will help you achieve your career goals. What they deleted, which almost sounds like it's purely semantics, it's just sentence structuring, is please describe how the MPP curriculum at HKS would leverage your distinct abilities and or fill gaps in your skill set set as you equip yourself to achieve your career goals. So just deleted and fill those gaps, deleted distinct abilities, and just went straight for the jugular and say, describe how the MPP curriculum at HKS will help you achieve your goals. I don't know why. I don't know why they would I think maybe just to kind of clean it up and make it a little bit easier to follow. But I still think maybe it's because they're targeting people who are MPPs that are going to be younger than 25 that may not necessarily know what gaps they need to fill because they haven't worked. But here is a way to answer that question, right? You have the intro, and it's 500 words, so you've got a lot more. You got a lot more wiggle room here. You've got the intro that starts it off and just kind of describing in general terms the importance of what you may want to do in the future. This is a little bit who I am. This is what I want to do in the future, right? And this is why the degree is going to help me. Then get into, these are the skill sets I currently have. These are important to me in terms of what I want to do. Then you get into, here are the skills gaps that need to be filled. You don't even have to use the word skill gaps because now it's deleted. It's just asking you to achieve your career goals. But I think it's still going to be important to talk about those skill gaps to help you achieve your career goals, which we talked about here. And then you want to say what you want to do at the Kennedy schools, really be able to, so your improved skills, skill gaps, and experiential learning are all things that you're going to be able to fill at the Kennedy school. And the way that you're going to do that, especially as you see here, is community, location, academics, personal, which is CLAP, right? CLAP. So it is community, location, academics, personal. So the way that you're going to be able to solve this for this section, and this section is you're going to talk about the community of the Kennedy School. And it talks about here the curriculum, which is more on the academic front, but I feel that you can still invoke other aspects that feed into the curriculum, which is the community itself at the Kennedy School, the student organizations, student vibe, the diversity of the campus. The location being at Harvard and then Boston in general. Focus a lot on the academics. And then you have the personal aspect, which is basically your connection to the school. Okay, maybe you took a class, maybe you visited the campus, Maybe you knew a friend that went to the school that you learned a lot from. Maybe you took a distant course on, from the Kennedy School. So that's the personal element that's involved here. I like to write this as ACLP, even though the acronym is CLAP. I like to write it as academics first, especially because it's talking about the curriculum. And so when you talk about the academics, you're going to be talking about professors, classes, concentrations, certificate programs, centers, right? Like the Center for Public Leadership and so forth. Um, uh, Basically anything that's academically, maybe the research, resources, anything that's academically oriented goes into that section. Then you talk about the community, then the location, and then finally that personal element. That's how I would write this essay on MPP. Now, if you're applying for the mid-career, you will have a career goals essay, which will include a section about why HKS. Okay, and you'll still have the personal history, which I believe will ask you about how you're going to contribute to the learning environment at HKS, because this is for all the degree programs. This essay is only for the MPP programs. All the essays of the past year are the same for this year. So these were the only two that changed. All right. These are the official dates, guys. December 1st, noon, EST is when the applications are due. So 2 days earlier than last year. Early mid-January is when the fellowship applications are due and financial aid. So you want to be on top of that. Don't lose focus of that. In my opinion, once you finish this, you go straight into those essays for the fellowship applications because they are tedious as well. And you don't want to apply to just one. You want to apply to a lot. All right. And then you've got the admissions and fellowship decisions are announced. I say both. This is not a new thing, but this is now the Kennedy School is trying to do more and more of this, which essentially is saying, we're not just going to tell you got admitted and then you have to apply for scholarships and then we'll tell you if you got the scholarships. We're going to tell you that you're admitted and here's your financial aid. And the reason that they do this is because it helps people better plan and more readily accept if they know that they've been admitted and here's their financial aid. If they know they've been admitted without financial aid, then the school will know that they will get an answer from that student fairly quickly. Like, yes, I'm going to go because I can afford it. No, I'm not going to go. All right. And so they don't have to worry about this long drag time. Also, if the person got admitted and they got financial aid, then they're going to give them a decision much faster. So when I applied 10 years ago or 9 years ago, actually it was exactly 10 years ago. Is that right? No, 9 years ago. I applied in, yeah. And yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. In 2015, I applied and I've heard in 2016. When I applied, I got admitted and then I started doing the interviews with the different fellowships. And then I found out a month later, I got the fellowship and then I accepted. So here they're trying to bundle it all together. All right. And then finally, you have to give your response sometime around April. And then if you're a mid-career, you matriculate in June. If you are an MPP or an MPA2, you matriculate, I want to say, around middle of August. And the reason I say mid-career in June is because they have this program that's about 6 weeks long that's focused on mid-careers to see kind of where they're at and help them kind of even the playing field amongst everyone else. All right. Just quickly, kind of who we are. These are the experts. These guys have all worked on the Kennedy School application in depth. Some of them are actually Kennedy School graduates. We've worked with quite a few people. In fact, here is an anecdote where we worked with students from this certain cohort, and we were able to get the numbers from 2, 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, up to boom, 10 in one given year that we worked with. So a lot of my experts have that kind of experience. And here's a very nice testimonial that we got from the experts, from the client themselves. And you can see like there was a huge emphasis on storytelling, and that's really what we focus on to ensure that your story will stand out. That is mission critical. We've got 6 to 8 essays to work with, and we really want to build a story that the whole is greater than some of its individual parts. Each one really informs the totality of your application. And that's what we really try to help create with you. All right. Let me finish this off. I've blitzed through a lot of material, but I've also kind of left this for some Q&A of some stuff to go through. So guys, if you contact us immediately, to the company website, info@Right Track Admissions. We will give you not only a free consultation with me so I can review your profile, but we'll also give you a free copy of that master guide, which is now going to be in its second edition, which we will have for you shortly. So please feel free to contact us. You can also call us at our number 323-628-1640 or email us at info@righttrackadmissions.com. Questions at all, please, guys. Any questions that you have, I am at your disposal. We've got 10 minutes to go. If you have any questions at all, I will say that we will have other webinars coming up. So look out for those where we're going to do some in-depth diving into some of the other essays for the Kennedy School. Remember, there are so many essays required from the Kennedy School: perspectives essay, personal history essay, career goals essay, personal contribution or professional contribution. There's just a number of different essays that you really want to make sure that you nail. Some of them are shorter, 250 words. Some of them are longer, 500 words. Some of them for the MPAID are 750 words. But I also want to, help you out in terms of figuring out which policy program makes the most sense for you, figuring out how to maximize your time at the Kennedy School. That's something I really focused on and wrote a lot about in that mastery guide so that you can really maximize your time on the ground. Also, any questions that you may have on letters of recommendation, all that good stuff. All right, we got a question here from Mr. Shaw or Mrs. Shaw, Deegan Shaw. Do you have the fellowships typically require letters of rec as well? No. As far as I know, you will not need letters of rec for the fellowship. It's just a separate series of essays. Typically, the series of the essays will be about like how do you fit into the mission and the requirements of the fellowship. So you guys may know, like we've got, I wish I could pull up the guidebook that I have for you, but you've got like a Zuckerman, you've got the George Fellow, the Rubenstein, you've got the Gleitzman, which is again like social advocacy, you've got the veterans, which obviously is veterans, you've got the ELI, the Emirates Leadership Initiative. I believe there's a new one now for Israelis called the Woke Leadership or Woke Israeli Fellowship. So all of these, you've got to be able to answer the mission as to why that fellowship works for you. Now, these are just CPL. There's other fellowships as well, which are region specific, topical specific. And again, you want to figure it out. I think I applied for maybe 6 fellowships and just went through like it was a barrage of essays. Some of it I repurposed from the main essays from the Kennedy School, right? But the bulk of it was stuff I needed to kind of reinvent as well. But you don't have to do the recommendations for those. I think they'll be able to use the recommendations from your application. Also, dig in, something else you need to know is a lot of the fellowships will do interviews, which I think is phenomenal because the Kennedy School doesn't do interviews. And I really, really think this is the future of admissions, is doing interviews, whether they're asynchronistic or they're synchronistic where you're actually talking to a human being, or asynchronistic where you're doing it with AI or with like a program like Kira, where they'll ask you a specific question, you'll have 1 or 2 minutes to prepare, and then you have to give your response. Because it helps the school see how qualified you are, your language skills, your ability, so that you're not hiding behind a bunch of essays that you could have written with AI, but you're actual real person that has the skills to really add to the community, which I think is only going to help us more. Thank you for that question. Any other questions, guys? Happy to answer about letters of rec, in general, how to select the recommenders, the right recommenders. What else? Happy to answer any questions about the resume. Happy to answer any questions about the Kennedy School in general. As I said, not only was I involved in the Kennedy School and did my master's there, but I subsequently was involved in all kinds of alumni communities. I was very much plugged in. I was on the admissions committee for my scholarship. So we did interviews and all that good stuff. So very, very connected to the school. And this is was my 3rd graduate degree, and it was a really, really great overall experience compared to some of the other 2. All right, can you give us a few tips on how to select our recommenders? I'm struggling with that part. Great question. You want to think about recommenders in a way where if you are applying as a mid-career, you want to look at 2 professional, 1 academic if possible. If you can't do an academic and as a mid-career because you've been out of school for so long, then in your addendum in your optional essay, you may want to mention why you don't have a recommender from that is academic. And the only reason I say academic is because I think the idea is it's an academic program. In the end of the day, it's not a professional program per se. It's an academic program. So you want to show your academic prowess, especially if you waive out of the GRE. Then the only grades they'll have, especially if you didn't do a graduate degree, is maybe from 10, 15 years ago. So they want to see what you've done in terms of academics. So if you don't have one, just put in your optional statement. Otherwise, I would say 2 professional, 1 academic for mid-careers. For MPPs, I would say 2 academic, 1 professional. And obviously for MPPs, you don't have to have more than 2-3 years of experience. So you may not have a lot of experience from that perspective. But I'd say 2 academic, 1 professional. If you can't get the professional, then 2 academic, 1 volunteer, or 3 academic for MPPs. For MPA2s, I would say at least 1 academic, because you're meant to have graduate studies, 1 professional, and then you can choose if you don't have from the academic, professional, and volunteer, the third one should be the best of those 3. But you should have 1 academic, 1 professional, and then from the third one, choose one of those 3 that would be the best for you. And the best for you does not necessarily mean the person who is like the CEO of your company, but someone who can really speak about and substantiate what you've already put in your application about how great you are. So it should be about your skill sets, your ability to kind of really think through the analytical skills, your leadership skills, and your interpersonal skills really are the things that really you want those recommenders to stand out. Now you may be asking me, Hamada, what can we provide the recommender so that we can actually have the best recommendation? Give them a brag list, give them bullet points of the certain things that you want them to really kind of mention, highlight about you, because then they can use that to flesh out a more bespoke letter of recommendation for you. And that's not illegal. You're just giving them a structure, a scaffolding, and then they could use that to at least inform how to write the essay or the recommendation as bespoke to you as possible. This may be too broad case by case, but I'm considering a dual degree program, not JD MBA, but haven't decided. Do you recommend to wait on that if I was admitted to an MPP program and apply the first semester? Such a damn good question, because I literally was talking to a client about this, and they were like, you know what? I don't feel like I have enough experience. This is such a great question. It's so random that you say this, because this person was asking me, and they were worried that they don't have enough experience for the MBA, but they felt that they were qualified as an MPP, and I agreed. So what I said to them is, apply to both. If you don't get into the MBA program, but you get into the Kennedy School, then when you go into your first semester, you could reapply again to the MBA program, now telling them that you're in the MPP program, which is only going to give you an extra bit of cachet, right? They're going to be like, okay, wow, the person got in. Or you don't apply to the MBA, you apply to the MPP program, or typically the MPP or MPA program, the MPA2. And then in your first semester, you would apply to the MBA program, again, telling them that now you're going to have another year of experience. So you're going to matriculate with another year of experience, even if it's more academically oriented, but at least now you're in the school. And again, it's going to give you a bit of cachet, and it gives you a bit of window of time so that you feel like you're not rushing to get both applications in, because they are done separately. It's not like a tick of the box and then that's it. And then you want to remember for Harvard, you can apply for the program at MIT, Tufts, Wharton, and Stanford, and obviously the business school. So you have quite a few perspectives from there. Trying to think if there's anything else on that one. Yeah, I think that should hopefully answer your question. And the JD, I think you'd only be applying for the JD program. I know people that I literally know someone who applied to and got into Tufts, and I want to say with Tufts, and I want to say they just got into Tufts. Then they started the Kennedy School, and they reapplied to the business schools, and they got into GSB, straight up to Stanford. And they felt more confident doing that because they got into the Kennedy School. So they're like, you know what, I'm going to Hail Mary, and they got into GSB because they felt more confident. They had that behind them. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. We're at the 30-minute mark. Please ask us any questions you have. Remember, email us immediately. We'll give you that free consultation and the free admissions guide as well, info@righttrackadmissions.com. And then keep a lookout for future webinars that we're going to be doing over the course of the next month and a half, because I know there's going to be a ton of stuff there. If you guys have a minute, if you guys otherwise sign off, but otherwise we have one more last question. I want to be mindful of that. I'm finalizing my MBA this year and planning to apply for the mid-career in December. Any tips? Yeah, at the end of the day, because as a mid-career, you can do a dual degree at the same time because it's an only 1-year degree. So if you're wrapping up the MBA, then you're going to apply for the MPP. You just have to make sure that they understand the mid-career program, why you're applying to their program, as long as it doesn't feel redundant. Like if you're doing a public policy program at one school and then going again and doing another one at Harvard, they're going to be like, why is this person doing it? They're just trying to get the cachet of the name. But in your case, if you can really show that you're applying for that, having completed the MBA, how this completely connects to what you want to do, especially in terms of public leadership and doing things that serve people, because at the end of the day, they're not trying to give you a degree simply that says Kennedy School and then go into work at Goldman Sachs. Hell no, that's not the point. The point is that you're using their MBA to add, for example, hypothetically, you want to work for an organization, run an organization as a leader of an organization with the skills that an MBA would provide you, but you need the mid-career Master's in Public Administration to provide you with a better sense of negotiations, policy analysis, understanding data and statistics, development, whatever it may be. So those two will complement each other for your end goal. So make sure they're complementary and they're not almost distinct patterns. And don't shy from the fact that you've done an MBA and then apply for the mid-career and not mention it. You want to talk about how both complement each other in terms of what you want to do. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. And look forward to seeing you guys on other things. As you can tell, I'm super passionate about the Kennedy School, huge proponent of the school. I love doing this admission stuff. I'm a lawyer by background, but this is something I'm very passionate of. And I hope you guys will be able to get the guide, tell us how you like it or how we can improve it, because I really want this to be a mechanism for you guys to basically do some of the stuff on your own if you don't want to take on our services. And if you do, then at least you have this guide to kind of guide you alongside our services. And if you don't, then at least you'll have this to kind of help you on your way. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.